See, there was this boy who was a policeman who was transferred to Todonyang after his utterances. You remember him? If that boy was killed, nobody would want to investigate who has killed him. It would be the government.
Hey wadau, if you follow our content, you have seen our guest for this episode. We have referenced him. I enjoyed his ideas. Now I believe there's an episode nilisema, we'll trace him, we'll track him down, tuone tukimleta kwa show. I enjoy, unajua, we approach conversations with an open mind. So I'm a big fan of free thinkers, and I believe he fits that description. He is a political analyst and one of my favorite storytellers in recent times. Napenda vile anapiga story, and I hope this episode proves me right. He's also, nimesema he's a political analyst na anaelewa his way around the political circles, and I believe akona stories zenye some of us have not heard before. And sasa tutaingia into it. But before that, our guest's name ni Odoyo Owidi. Na niko sure mmemuona hapa na pale. But before we get into it, a word from our partners. Security should never be a cause for panic in whichever part of the country that you live in. Alafu, being safe should also not be expensive. Na hiyo pia does not mean that you compromise in quality, especially when dealing with security personnel. And that's why I want to talk to you about K9 Alligators, a security company that recruits exclusively from the NYS. And on top of the paramilitary training that the officers get from the National Youth Service, K9 Alligators tops that up with additional training with some of the world's finest security personnel, some of whom have trained with some of the top creme de la creme special forces units in different parts of the world. And that's not all. With K9 Alligators, you don't just get a security officer. You get a professional trained with high-level security training and vocational skills. That is, you get a security officer who also is a certified plumber. You get a security officer who is also a certified electrician. And the good news is you can also make custom requests. K9 Alligators is registered with PSRA and also offers a wide range of security services, including VIP, close protection services, security dogs on need basis, as in uko na boma na hauhitaji hassle ya kukuwa na umbwa mchana, ama unaogopa madogi kama mimi, you can have lethal, highly trained security dogs deployed to your home with a handler, overnight or on need basis, and all this you will get at very competitive rates. Please get in touch with the numbers on your screen or click the link in the description below. Now that you feel safe already, si tunaweza endelea na conversation. Very nice. Odoyo Owidi, karibu sana.
Thank you, my brother.
Karibu sana.
I am very delighted to be here with you.
Thank you, sir.
You can be sure out there.
Yes.
I have watched you.
Thank you.
I have appreciated you.
Much
but
appreciated.
most of all, I have admired you. You remember when we spoke,
yes,
I didn't have a second word.
Thank
and
you.
I said I would be there.
Much appreciated.
Karibu sana.
Yes.
I am happy to be here and ready to go.
Iko sawa kabisa. I enjoy your ideas on politics sana, and my stand has always been, I am a big fan of free thinkers, which I believe you are, and I believe that based on the content I've been excited about, and that's why I've been looking forward to this conversation. Karibu. So there's an excerpt that has been doing rounds online.
Yes.
It's attributed to Stalin, the dictator. And the explanation was that it may be true, it may not be true, because I've not found a source I can independently verify. And the explanation, the story has always been, one day Stalin invited all his workers and then grabbed a bunch of maize, like near a bunch of maize, akachota mahindi kidogo, and then threw to a chicken. It came and then he snatched it when it was alive. And then he started plucking the feathers, plucking the feather. And the chicken was making so much noise and it was screaming in pain. And then he let the chicken go and it ran away. Then he took another handful of maize, started throwing again, and the chicken came back and he snatched it again. And then he asked his workers what they learned from that story. And the context was description of the average voter. They will suffer in the hands of the people they put in office, and then they will be lied to na mahindi kidogo, and then they come back to the fold and the cycle continues. How accurate is that description in real life?
Very accurate, and that is not all. Some of these politicians we have,
Yes.
we watch them assault their opponents and supporters of their opponents,
Yes.
and in the end,
Yes.
we do not want to run away from them.
Yes.
Actually, now we want to join them to be safe from what those people suffered. And also, people tend to run away to you if they are running from something negative,
Yes.
rather than run to you if you are giving them something positive. Are you picking it up?
Attracted.
Yes. For example, those who are spreading religion, let me give you that example because it's something that everybody knows. Those who are spreading religion use two things. One is a positive, going to paradise, the kingdom of God. And one, running away from Satan, the owner of every bad thing.
Yes.
Correct? And then, in that whole scenario, there has to be a leader, the Messiah. Three things
Yes.
that make religion stand and believable. If you remove any one of them, religion collapses.
They have to work
Let me
together.
use Christianity because they are more liberal. They will not slaughter me if I say anything blasphemous. In Christianity, we have Satan, the owner of all crimes. Then we have the Messiah.
Yes. The Savior.
Then we have the ultimate trophy going to the kingdom of God. If today you walk in and tell them there is no kingdom of God, Christianity will collapse. Or if you tell them Satan doesn't exist, because majority of Christians are actually worshiping because they fear those things that Satan carry around. But again, if you tell them Jesus did not exist, then again Christianity collapses. Kumbe, we have been following nothing. A mirage.
This is a hypothetical.
Hypothetical.
Yes.
But Christianity is real also, remember. But also you have watched stories, comedy.
Yes.
Somebody is trying to pull a girl into his abode, and she's really resisting. But when a dog barks behind her, she rushes in even ahead of that man.
Very fast. Yes. Yes.
Come to politics. Politicians like demonizing their opponent so much that they are the equivalent of Satan or the equivalent of that barking dog. So that running away from that demonized being, he's the alternative. You see that kind of thing?
So it's a competition of who demonizes the other the most.
Now we go to your story of the chicken whose skin was plucked. I want to tell you that when Raila Odinga was capturing Luoland, I like using capturing because he literally captured them. In the late 90s, anybody who was in Kanu, if you are a businessman, they would destroy your business.
Anybody who was in Ghana.
Yes. And politicians who did not support the opposition then led by the Odingas, you would be heckled at political function that you would not be able to speak. And there is nothing as painful to a politician as being heckled. Right? So that kind of pain of your business being destroyed, your people being beaten, and things like that. Instead of rejecting this man, they instead were now struggling to be his friend.
For protection.
For protection. That is why politicians can do certain things, and in your head, with your logical reasoning, you think it is spoiling for them. They know it is not. They know they are creating fear in those people in such a way that they will be proud to be their friend instead. You have heard about very ruthless drug lords winning presidential elections. Yet people know how ruthless they are. So people do not necessarily reject you because you caused them pain. Many times they want to be your friend.
Do these people know, or because this happens because of the image that has been sold? Because I've heard that politicians have even gone to the extent of burning down slums and then showing up with mattresses the next day to give to people. So now they cannot admit that they are the ones who burned,
That is
but
another.
the act of kindness.
That is another angle. That is another angle which they use. And politics is very interesting. Ordinary folks, probably sometimes the me and the yous out there, cannot even comprehend to the extent at which politicians can go to achieve their ends. Many of them can't even. They can't even imagine a politician can kill his own blood to win a political seat.
And that has happened.
Politics is as emotional as love. A politician can hate an opponent the same way you would hate the former boyfriend of his wife. That is what I wanted to pick up. That is how it is. And the things people go to. Let me tell you a story. Some people don't believe it, some people don't know it. Long time ago in 1963, there was going to be an election in Siaya. There was a constituency then called Bondo. Bondo had 3 candidates. One was Jaramogi, then there was Odede. Odede was the father of Tom Mboya's wife. And then there was another candidate called Oneko. 3 constituencies. All those 3 were friends of President Kenyatta. And Kenyatta wanted them to come to the Bunge. That first election, I'm not certain exactly, it was 63. So Kenyatta said, because I want all of you, I would like Oneko to go to Nakuru. I will campaign for him to win. That time, Tom Mboya was to come to Kamkunji, Nairobi. And you, Jaramogi and Odede, let us split Bondo constituency into 2, so that you both come. But Jaramogi said, no, that can't happen. So the campaign began. And the most competitive election was the one in Bondo. But in Bondo, constituency had 3 major clans. Sakwa, where Jaramogi came from, Uyoma, where Odede came from, and Asembo, where Oneko came from, but now he went to Nakuru. But Asembo and Uyoma are brothers. So they ganged up against Sakwa. So Jaramogi was going to lose that election. Sorry, there are some names I would not want to mention in that story because they are still alive. But then, Jaramogi had a chief campaigner called Mito. Mito was from Asembo, Jaramogi from Sakwa, Odede from Uyoma. When the election was nearing, it was clear Jaramogi was going to lose.
They could tell then?
Yes. So one day, you know, in politics in the village, after people have come from the campaign rallies, you escort the candidate until his home. You leave him in the safety of his home and go back to your various homes. So after Mito had seen Jaramogi off to his home, he was now going back to their Asembo. In Asembo, Odede had a posho mill somewhere. Near Odede's posho mill, Mito was murdered. You are still on the story?
I'm following.
So when Mito was murdered, the next day, word came out that Odede has murdered Mito. They start by saying, Jaramogi's chief campaigner has been murdered. Automatically, you think, it can't be Jaramogi, it has to be the opponent. And then they add another salt to it. And it was done near Odede's posho mill. Then the third propagandist comes to say, in fact, they switched on the posho mill and it was sounding very loud. Nobody could hear Mito screaming. Then the third one come and say, if that is what Odede can do, we are all now going to vote for Jaramogi, we people of Asembo. And that is how Jaramogi was voted for. Years come by, it turned out that the killing of Mito did not come from Odede, it came from the Jaramogi axis.
So now, first of all, Odede did not defend himself.
How would you, in a vast constituency, like from Muyoma, Sakwa, Asembo, how loud will you be to be heard? And even if you say, I did not do it, who will believe you? Who would believe you? Because the society we live in, the hoi polloi you see here in the street, is a very lazy thinker. He uses the nearest logic you place before him. The nearest logic is, and by the way, I didn't also tell you, that this Mito man was also a relative of Jaramogi. Close relative.
Let's entertain a hypothesis here, right? I have a friend
Yes.
who's running for office. Let me just, for purposes of credits, is Bobasi One, Otieno Mokaya. He's an advocate, he's a hopeful. But we've had very deep moral conversations. And we have an agreement. This submission has two levels. One, we have a submission that politics is dirty, but when it comes to taking a life, that's where you draw the line. Is this something you tell yourself before you get into the system? Or the system is such that that is unnecessary evil?
Politics is that when you are getting into it, you don't think a situation like that will arise when you are in that contest. Sometimes you go very innocent, but your opponents put you into that, or is the one that executes that on you. So you think it is safe. Just like getting into a marriage, it feels good. But somewhere along the way, right inside, even death may occur. Yes, so things like that do happen. And there are many such stories. I have collected very many stories. And I think very recently in the 90s, there was one person in Homa Bay who lost 5 buses. 5 buses because he was perceived to be a Kanu man. 5 buses on one day, all set ablaze.
Because of
and there was a councillor in Homa Bay called Akechieng. You must have heard his name recently. They burnt his hardware together with a lorry because he was Kanu. There was a former assistant minister called Owegolang. You've seen the daughter, is called Sheila, moving around. They took his new Land Rover and pushed it into the lake, and it went below the lake until today because he was Kanu. That is how dirty politics can be. And you see, ordinarily you would expect the people to reject the person who is suspected to be doing that. Number one, some of these things happen, people never even get to attribute them to the people who are the masterminds. Never. Or if there are any, they are very few. And you see, the fear that such a thing creates, nobody else attempts to oppose this man who has done that. And the people may not know he's the one who has done it.
My first impression of politics being a different world came from, we were having a conversation with the Kapseret MP, Oscar Sudi, and the Bahati MP, Kimani Ngunjiri. And we were focusing on business. And we had a conversation, that was when I was at NTV. We had a conversation, and Oscar Sudi has neat business nuggets. Like, he told us his story from scratch. Then Mali kupanga kazi na town, he told us all that. And then I asked a political question. And then he turned. Akasema, sasa wewe umeleta siasa, unataka tuingie kwa siasa. Sasa tuende hiyo. So, and the way he said it was like we were in another world.
You are taking us to another world.
You want us to go to another world.
Umeleta visa.
Bas, akasema tuende bas. That was my first impression of, by the way, we were in different gears. Let us switch gears now. So there is a zone you get to that you are not an ordinary human being now. Let's go to the context where people have to do dangerous things, dirty games, where this is where dirty comes in, for convenience of winning, to whip emotions, right? When you go to that world, is it this person that does them, or there is a machination that forms around you that knows how to deal or to operate with such?
There are people who are politicians, they plan it themselves. There are people who are politicians, and the people around them who want to protect that power plans it. Do you know how many people benefit from a single successful politician? Very many. There are some people whose whole life depend on a single politician, that if that politician collapses, they too collapse. And they can do it. Some can be done even without that politician knowing. Some, he actually the one who arranges, and it happens. Recently, in Homa Bay, recently,
Yes.
and I'm talking about things that are in the public domain, so you don't have to worry. There, in Homa Bay, there are several clans.
Yes.
And Homa Bay is the only county in Nyanza province,
Yes.
and many other places, that is governed by a person who was not born in the county. Right? The Homa Bay governor was born in the county of Kisumu. So it means when you begin to play clan politics, she gets very jittery. Very, very jittery. She would rather like the politics of political parties and who we are following. So sometimes, I think it's November, there's a clan in Homa Bay called Nyada. They are the owners of a clan called Kanyada. They decided that they are going to have a meeting as elders and opinion leaders of Kanyada. They were never allowed to have that meeting. The youth were mobilized, including the county, and they literally caned those wazes and they ran away.
Caned.
Caned. And I have a video of their running. It's even posted on my Facebook page. Tents flying and wazes running, everybody ran. And that meeting never took place.
What is this obsession? My friend YY comes from Kosele, which is Homa Bay.
That's my place.
Yeah, he told me that if you even think of running for MCA, you have to literally be ready to run. Like it is comes as a package. And his description is like how people come from campaigns. Like mtu anaingia kwa nyumba unafunga mlango because there are people after you. Like that's standard operating procedure.
Yes.
I've seen politicians talking about, and this comes from the Luo side of things, sana. And I saw it in Kisipia when Simba Arati was talking to Didimas Baraza. Unataka ukimbizwe sahi, unajua unaweza kimbizwa. And I think the communication was Didimas knew what that means. Like, I sometimes, from a comical place, I look at it from a place like, it's not to harm you, but just for the athletic bit of you are running. Like the effect that it creates.
You know, also the people generally don't understand what is supposed to be done in politics and what is not supposed to be done. Some of them even think you being chased away is part of the game. You have been beaten by your opponent. And you know that story I was telling you? Weeks later, the largest clan in Homa Bay County is called Rachuanyo. Rachuanyo has 3 constituencies.
Yes.
The only clan in Lowland with 3 solid constituencies. And that is apparently also where I come from. We had also decided that we are going to have a meeting of the Rachuanyo clan. So for some strange reason, we decided to postpone it at night because these people in the Rachuanyo clan, some of them are spread all the way to Ndewa and Migori County. So the time was short. But unknown to our detractors that we had postponed it, the next morning we woke up, you saw what was done in Jacaranda Gardens when there was to be...
Yes, Raila's
That is what was done on the ground where we were supposed to meet. Somebody took a lorry load of raw sewage
Yes.
and went and poured in the compound. And the roads leading to that compound, they also took mixed concrete without water and poured on the road and blocked the roads. That is how dirty politics can be.
Okay.
Because of that fear. Just imagine, Homa Bay, the largest clan, is Rachuonyo. It has 3 constituencies. And those 3 constituencies has 200,000 votes.
200,000?
Yes, those 3 put together. In fact, it is slightly more. It's about almost 250. That is almost a half the total number of votes in Homa Bay. Just slightly less than a half. So if you mobilize them together to vote one way, you have cooked the governor. You have cooked the senator. You have cooked the women rep. At least those are the people collecting all their votes from the whole county. So look at that. And ordinarily, from where you sit, you'd think a politician would not be stupid to do that because that will make the people run away. But how many people even got to know that such a thing happened? No. Probably even you sitting here, you didn't know.
I'm hearing
because again, they control the media from that end. So the only people who met it in social media. Social media, you know, believability is 50-50. And that is how they succeeded in running away with such a crime.
And so this is a brand of politics that is associated with certain places. Yes. Even the place for killing of opponents. You would assume, for example, how politics operate. It was a coincidence for Waitito, for example, to have been a beneficiary of 2 constituencies where the MP died, then he vied and he won. Okay? It's a coincidence.
Let's say so.
let's say it's a coincidence.
Yes.
So let's hypothetically, both cases were murders, right? So would you say that probably someone else planned the murder and it benefited someone else?
While you say it is a coincidence, I normally use another language. It's also safe. It is a convenient death. Like the death of one Mugabe Were was a very convenient death for the person who took that seat. Because remember, Mugabe Were was elected. He was number 1. But number 2 and 3 were from the same community. So they most likely shared the community votes. And if their votes were put together, they would have beaten Mugabe Were. But Mugabe Were conveniently dies even before he's sworn in, I think. And one of these 2 people runs against him and win. Can you see how convenient the story is? So what you do with that, how you interpret it is yours.
It's up to you.
Yes.
So much to unpack from there, because from when we narrow down to say Luo Nyanza and Homa Bay, where we have clans and stuff, I'm tempted to submit that tribalism is an imagination. Because when you step down from the national platform now, you go to Mount Kenya region, you'll hear there are people from Kiambu, and their politics is different from the people of Murang'a, and it's different from the people of Nyeri. So it's no longer the Kikuyus now. So when you go to Luo Nyanza also, you'll find that there in Homa Bay alone, there is the Rachuonyo. I know Rachuonyo because of Ongoro Jaka Rachuonyo. And then the other clans, which now becomes divided. So now this idea, you are only united for someone who is a threat to you on outside the boundaries that you occupy. But when you get into that boundary, the divisions are probably worse. So tribalism is an imagination.
I can explain to you how that philosophy works. Human beings are inherently separatists. I'm using that word because my vocabulary is running low these days.
It's
For
fine.
example,
Yeah.
you see, normally in the United States, and probably even in Israel,
Yes.
whenever presidential election nears, there is always a war outside the country. It may be a small one like the one that happened in Venezuela, but it creates for you support at home. And that is what happens even here locally. For example, if you want to capture the Luo, create for them a giant enemy outside the Luo community and be the one that stands between them and that giant enemy. And that is the politics that even has played in Luland throughout. And if it wants to easen, our leaders would even walk out of a government because we want that government to be the enemy so that the people at home come to us. People always want leadership for protection. The Israelites cried to God, God, give us a leader who can lead us into war, because they were seeing enemies beyond the borders. The same story in your own home. You have had a bitter quarrel with your wife, and she has chosen to go and lie on the sofa, and you remain on the bed, and you think, watch aende. The moment burglars come knocking, you will each run to each other and meet on the way hugging. And she will run to get for you your gun if you have any, or your panga.
Yes.
Because now we have a bigger enemy. Yet even this rivalry within could have one of you dead. They're just the same way as the other one would have you.
Yes.
One time I watched two, I think they were gazelles fighting in the wild.
Yes.
And the moment a cheetah approached, they all ran in the same direction. And when they went far, they stopped fighting. They were now grazing. You get it?
A reality check hit them.
Reality check it. They discovered they have a bigger enemy out there. So when you want your people, you want to consolidate them behind you, you create for them a bigger enemy outside. So each time they think about the enemy, they think of coming to you for protection. And that is the politics you saw my friend Senator James Orengo was trying to bring. You are going to take Orengo for the first time to an election without an enemy for his people, a bigger enemy.
That's what Raila has been for the Mount Kenya region?
Throughout, that was Raila has been for the Mount Kenya region, and that is what every sitting president has been for the Luo. There is a boogeyman. If you look at it from a religious perspective, there is a Satan. And there is the Messiah. So, take for example, Raila to the Luo was the Messiah. And the government of the day was the Satan, the enemy. So people needed Raila for protection against this enemy, for any fights against this enemy. That is how it works. And there is no religion the world over which has no Satan, whichever way. Yet it is something that even if you read the Bible from one end to the other, you do not find a physical form of it. It's just an imagination.
Thank you for establishing that. Now I can see a clearer picture. We have separated politics from development. Politics is purely emotion and mind games.
And you know the advantage of emotions? Emotional issues impede judgment. Love impedes judgment. Anger impedes judgment. Hate impedes judgment. The moment you hate me so much, your judgment on anything involving me will never be correct.
Yes.
Whenever you love me so much, your judgment on anything involving me will never be the correct one.
Then why are we, so we are lying to ourselves that we will ever progress in this country with politics at the forefront?
But that is how politics is played the world over. See hapa peke yake. And you know human beings are inherently very selfish. That is why you see Trump wakes up in the state and says, Americans, I am sending away all aliens, and you are going to have your country to yourself. And they are happy with it.
Yes.
Even though in public they think it is wrong, but deep inside, there is even somebody imagining, this Rwandese living next door, Akienda, what was here will remain mine. That is how they think.
That's why everyone wants to be in power, everyone wants to be in office, so that it's their turn to eat.
And there are certain things that even you are influencing your decisions and judgment, but you don't know. For example, in 2013, it's like every Kikuyu to the last man voted for Uhuru, and every Luo to the last man voted for Raila. So do you think there was wrong judgment on either part? There was something influencing their judgment, and they would kill you to think Raila is bad in Luo, and they would kill you to think Uhuru is bad in Central. Something was, an emotional issue was influencing their judgment. But even them, they didn't know, because even if you call them to the corner, they will just tell you how this other person is bad and how this is good and what he has done. In fact, I remember my Luos in the village would tell you, do you know where Baba has brought us from? And I said, we used to be in Ethiopia or Uganda. We have always been here. What do you mean he has brought us from? And if you pin them down, you discover they really have no very good reason.
Okay.
But something is influencing their judgment.
Okay.
Yes, an emotional issue.
Okay. I have a theory about Raila. It's a hypothetical theory. I'm a big fan of things. So now there's a constituency of Kenyans who have always felt that Baba was never interested in being president. And there's another one that says that, and I believe I've watched you a lot, so pia hata mimi, I may mix up certain things, that there may have been, it's either you or Miguna. I think it's Miguna. I respect him a lot, but we fell out, but I still respect him.
Even me blocked me.
I still respect him as an elder, and he's been kind to me when we were friends. I'm still his friend. So now, Miguna mentions something, I think it's either him or you, that Baba may have confessed on camera about a confession that may have set up the people who were accused of being involved in the 1982 coup. And the context which I pick this from is Baba has built a brand. My greatest recollection is his input in the 2002 election, and that's where his brand blew up. And then the 2005 November referendum, right? And then the 2007 election, gradually. Like that's, if you ask me, that's the trace of his brand blowing up from level,
blowing up
one level
and
to
becoming the brand to go for.
Yes. So now I'm like, what if he vied and they blackmailed him with destroying that brand with things that they hold against him? Number one. Number two, what if he was never interested in being president because he found it lucrative to be outside, but still benefiting without responsibility? Like he was more powerful outside than he was inside. Or number three, he never made it to president because he had people who betrayed him from inside, and he was not organized enough. He was not ready for the system as people would have thought. Or the other one is probably the curse of his father, as alleged, always worked. What do you think of my submission?
I don't really believe in curses, but this is the truth about Raila Odinga and the presidency. Not that he really didn't want to be president. He wanted to. But he did not have the conviction the level of his opponents had. He did not have the level of burning urge that his opponents had. That means he went to it. I want to win and be the president. But in case I lose it, it's okay. I lose it, it's okay. For example, in the last general election, we are going to elections, and before the election date, the CEO of ODM writes a letter. Of ODM. Baba ran on Azimio. And he says all political parties that run in Azimio must ensure they deploy agents. Imagine that thing. I read it and I was very clear in my mind that Baba has decided that he's not going to have agents. Why would a political party, ODM, urge every other political party in Azimio to have agents instead of urging the ODM to have agents? Or not at all, because that is what every candidate knows. In his head, Baba was thinking the work of an agent is to keep vigil at the polling center so that the votes are not stolen, literally, you know. But the work of an agent is much, much bigger than that. Only your agent can demand for a recount there and then. Only your agent. So it means Baba throughout the country, he could not demand for a recount in any polling center. Only your agent will have your Form 34A. Those forms. It cannot be handed to anybody, even if you're affiliates. Only your agent can swear an affidavit in court of the irregularities that took place at the polling station. That means Baba also missed that when he was going to court. Yet, in a narrow argument, they thought, if Azimio has a candidate at exactly every polling center, then we don't need to keep agents by ourselves. And that explains why Baba did not have a tallying center. Because at a tallying center, you have to send results there through your agents. How will they get results if they did not have agents? So even when they went to court saying these votes were stolen, and therefore we have come to seek the courts, then you ask them, where is the correct one? Hii iliibiwa, hii ni wrong. Wapi hiyo yenyu correct? Hawana.
Okay.
So these are some of the issues. But there's another aspect you brought there in your earlier prompt. That Baba was satisfied with where he was because he was having power and resources without responsibility. That is the reason why the conviction was not as big. And maybe you have not internalized how much resources and power he had. Baba is the only person in this country, not even the president, who would demand that you get out of government and you would get out. And you are not going to get out through formal or legal way. Street protests and goon throwing out. You remember Ababu Namuamba, Magarel Langat, all were thrown out from Orange House physically. When it was clear, you would just write to them a letter and they would vacate.
So
Baba is the only person you would not wake up and say you are going to arrest him for this or that. Yet, he had an over 6 million followers, loyal to the core, obedient to the core, just like you would have in Denmark, where the population is about 6 billion. And these people were ready to give him anything. And his own political party was receiving almost $1 billion a year. Political parties funding, contribution from all elected leaders, starting from MCS to governors, contribution by well-wishers. Even in those assemblies in the counties and in the National Assembly here, the people who hold those chairmanships and assembly leaderships make significant contributions to him, partly for his endorsement and partly for giving them an opportunity to serve. And then all this money put together, he wasn't going to account for it. And we know, even if you don't want to say, naturally in this country, if you want support as a president for whatever you want to pass, you must talk to a political party with many MPs. And you know how Kenyans talk. And all that still went to him. No responsibility, no accounting, no audit. That was his. With that,
yes.
I wouldn't mind not being president as long as I keep controlling these people.
Two things. Yes. Conviction. Conviction and number two, let's start with conviction, and then we go to the loyalty. Conviction is he captured, your exact words, he captured the Luo nation. And I believe I pick a word like it was through fear, okay? And that takes conviction proper. But when it comes to the presidency, the people who won against him had more conviction than he had. So it's who is more dangerous. That's number one. I would like for you to clarify. And number two, in terms of loyalty, his constituency was loyal to him. He lost to President William Ruto. President William Ruto was declared president with a margin of 200,000 votes. If I'm not wrong, the numbers of people who did not turn up to vote from Baba's constituency are over 500,000 or thereabout. So it would have taken his constituency to show up for him not to lose. Something is going on there.
You know, another reason why Baba really never won. When you are trying to take a large stone up a building, it would be easier for it to go if there are some people pulling it and others pushing it, right? In politics, that pull and push is there are those who want to vote for you because they love you. And there are those who want to vote for you because they hate your opponent. Baba went to elections with most of his constituency, especially in his Luo Nyanza backyard, going to vote because they liked him. He did not sell, and that is because he's a populist, he did not sell the hate too much for his opponents. So you see these people who remain, large numbers who remain not voting, they are people who don't respond so much to love. They respond more to hate. So and Raila didn't give them somebody to hate so much in his campaigns. Let me tell you that example now. You see what Rigathi is doing to President William Ruto? He's doing the push. One day probably he will do the pull. The push is creating hate for William Ruto in his own constituency, his own followers, that they have decided that anything the president attempts to do, they will always find fault in it. And they want to build that hate to a level that people will begin to start saying, even if you give us a dog against President William, we will vote the dog. He's heading there.
And he's a master at that.
You do it. You can do it. Human beings. Do you know a human being?
Rigiji has a master's in that.
Yes. A human being can be made to hate a very innocent person. Because you present that human being with resources for hate, but you deny them the ones for love. So they go hating, until it reaches a level that they would vote anything. Once it's crossed the zero line and goes to the negative side. That is what you do.
But
so because in politics,
yes,
we vote for you against me for two reasons. Because they love you and because they hate me. But if you go because they love you only, the votes will not be enough. You must add the votes that come your way because they hate me, your opponent.
Campaign is not just going and building boreholes, taking people to school, building...
Those do not create enough emotions to bring you enough votes. They don't. They don't create enough emotions. Let me tell you, that is why hate is loved in politics. Because people respond to that even more than they respond to love.
That's true. That is true.
When you see somebody going to look for a loved one, he just walks leisurely and nicely. But a person who is going to look for a person he hates, kisu ameweka hapa na bunduki, and you can't even stand before him. You can't. You can't block him. The response due to hate is great. So if I'm going to a contest with you, it is not enough for me to tell the world, oh, I have done this, I have done that, I have done this, so vote for me. No. I must also add, but my opponent is a devil. He is this. He killed so and so. He will kill. Then that is enough for me to win.
How do you explain Peter Salasya then? Or those are outliers. He didn't have to campaign on hate on everyone. I think for him...
I will also explain to you how his case comes about. Because politics is a contest between two people, isn't it? Or more. But if none of this campaigned on hate, so all of them are going to judge it on the basis of like and love. Yeah. You see?
So whoever appeals more on love.
I once talked to a lady from City Nyandarua. She was a chairman of a state corporation. And she told me, what do we do in our place? We even teach our children to sing hate songs against the opponents of our community. And we even use phrases to make them eat in the house and say, we kula ama nitakuitia Raila. Now, they grow with that hate beats votes. That also explains, when you see a place where the voter turnout is very high, it means hate and love were sold to them in equal measure.
There must be a balance.
It must be. See, I told you the story of this girl I'm pulling to get into my house. That is pull only. The push will be provided by the dog barking behind her, and she'll jump in.
Better effect. Better effect. Better effect. So, what does this say about the composition of the Kenyan society as a whole? Because I like the fact that we have established that there is no link to politics and the development, right? But we are here talking about developments, getting this country from one level to the next. Where is the place for growing as a people?
There is, in the current political scenario we find ourselves in Kenya, there are lines I normally like saying. People don't like them, but I don't care because they're the truth. Let me take you back. Immediately after the 2022 general election, an election that I keep on repeating, Uhuru did not support Raila to become president. Uhuru supported Raila Odinga so that Uhuru Kenyatta could become an executive prime minister. Do you know in the BBI there was a clause for prime minister?
Yes, I had.
And you also knew in the BBI they were going to add about 72 seats.
Yes.
Those 72 seats, do you also know that in Raila's stronghold of Luoland, there were going to be only 3?
I remember that debate.
What do you make of that? That these people were added so that at the end of the general election, they would elect Uhuru, the executive prime minister, and Raila president. That executive prime minister that was in the BBI would now be the one to form government by appointing the cabinet and PSS. When this failed, it was clear that Uhuru had stopped supporting Raila with the vigor he had before. They would go and drink, and they would be seen laughing and saying, this is the last time mimi ni Raia. But immediately after the general election, Kenyans went to the street. I like calling it Kenyans, though it wasn't. It was a section of Kenyans went onto the streets. And the demand was cost of living, open the server. Let's use those two. Opening the server was meant to take the Luo to the streets. The cost of living was meant to take other Kenyans to the street so that we have a threshold. But who went to the street? It wasn't ODM, it was Azimio. The leader of Azimio was Uhuru Kenyatta. It wasn't Raila Odinga. Now, what you do with that information is yours. But immediately, Raila Odinga called off those 2023 protests. The Jubilee axis that included Kioni and such people, then plus Karwa, now that makes it a bit ethnic, got out of that bandwagon and joined the side that convened at Limuru 3 conference. And if you listen to what was said there, that Ruto must go and we must not wait for 2027. And remember, this is a person who was just about 1 year in office, had not even read his second budget, it was to come. And we were in the streets earlier talking about cost of living. Was that cost of living due to President Ruto or President Uhuru? The cost of living protest of 2023.
The protest in 2023 was due to the said punitive clauses in the finance bill.
No. That is 2024. We had two protests.
Yes.
The 2023, the earlier one, the one that began immediately after election. And that one, you were told it is being supported by the former president. Because he was the leader of Azimio. He was the one that had meetings with them, and he did not go to the stage, of course. Leave it there, my brother. What I am trying to say, if we Kenyans stop this game of ukabila, we would go very far. We would be Singapore in 5 years, not 10. It is not corruption. Let me tell you something which you probably have not noticed. Nairobi has 3 bypasses: north, east, and south. Have you seen where the southern bypass begins? Here at Airtel, Eka Hotel. Why didn't it begin in Mulolongo or Athi River?
Why?
Have you seen where it is running? From Ngong Road to that place is only a kilometer or 2. Why is it not running in Rongai and coming out in Rironi?
Why is that?
Okay, let's go back to the eastern bypass. It goes Utawala, Ruai, inaenda inatoka Ruiro. And look at the northern bypass. The where those roads pass is deliberate. It's deliberate.
I'm curious.
And it is also curious why the southern bypass is longer on the Kikuyu town side than on this other side. Why didn't he start from Athi River and then comes out at Kino instead of starting here in town at Airtel and coming out all the way in Kikuyu? Because that infrastructure improves the value of land in those areas, improves the value of investment in those areas, and improves the economic status of those places.
If we are to approach with an open mind and assuming objectivity, that the shape of Nairobi, for example, it's to ease traffic in strategic places.
Exactly.
In terms of access, like you look at where the population is and then put it there. Doesn't that fly?
Yes, what flies is you want to create a bypass to avoid areas where the jam is big, isn't it? Yes, the bypass is supposed to, you bypass traffic jam, isn't it? If you wanted to bypass traffic jam on the Mombasa-Nairobi, passing through Nairobi, I think it would have been very logical to divert it from the Kitengela Junction, the Athi River.
But we have an expressway unclogging the city from Westlands to Mlolongo, as you say.
My friend, when was that built and when was the expressway, the other one built? And you remember, expressway is a private road. And another thing you did not probably know, the initial idea of that expressway wasn't to be an overhead road. You remember Uhuru attempted to demolish structures on Mombasa Road to create that road. It was just public protest that now it had to go flying. But also, that is also not what I wanted to tell you. I also want to add you some more things. What my listeners is going to do with them is their problem. We start building the railway from Mombasa. Not Mombasa, actually, Mariakani. And we don't even pass with it through Nairobi. It's until I made noise that I hear they are going to create a station here. They reach Mlolongo, which is Machakos County. Then it goes into the national park, straight to wilderness in Naivasha. When it reaches Naivasha, it encircles Naivasha twice. Some land in Naivasha, then tries to come back to Naivasha and stops there. Do you know if that SGR reached Kisumu, those going to Kisumu would have not slept at Rironi in buses. The traffic jam that takes you 12 hours to go to Kisumu would not be there, because half of those people would be using the SGR to Kisumu.
When you say that, you enter into another realm of politics in terms of, like, you would assume the development, if it takes half the people who sleep in Rironi, you're taking away business from the people who have already invested in the matatu business. And it is possible that they also lobbied that ukileta hii reli pandei, you'll eat into our business. Isn't that a plausible argument?
Who are those who organize themselves to make that argument?
Let me say, for example, we have ideas of having trams in the city, or zile rails that we've seen, that if I used to wish we could have that when I was working at Nation. I would never use my car. Like, you would have a train or a mini that drops you at Nation, and like city traffic, very efficient. If you brought that idea, do you think the Matatu Association would allow that conversation to reach?
Let me tell you, business is like cattle grazing. The cattle in front never finishes grass for the one behind. They never. You've never found cattle fighting that we uko mbele unanimalizia, wacha nikuje mbele yako.
Wewe hujapanda matatu. So, for a long time.
No, for a long time, all right. But let me tell you, you can never finish business for anybody. There are certain things that have happened, even technological changes. Actually, when the mobile phone came, and then they came with cameras, I thought this professional camera would disappear. They would do Nikon and Canon and would close down. They are selling more now.
Wiki would never accept.
They are selling more now.
Yes.
With the new technology of social media and mobile phones.
Yes.
Because they bring out quality. So even businessmen, even these matatus, probably what you do not know. The other day, somebody was telling me, if you build this dual carriageway to Rironi, and then that means you take 3 lanes to Rironi on this side and 3 lanes from Mau Summit. Aren't you going to clog that place? Then I told him, investors will run to Kenya quickly saying, we want to build now from Mau Summit to Eldoret, from Mau Summit to Busia. We want to build from Mau Summit to Kisumu and Migori. Because there is a lot of traffic coming to that place. And traffic is now being translated from the Rironi Mau Summit to Mau Summit Eldoret and Mau Summit Kisumu. And that person who is being poured there is big business for those places. And you don't know that the first ever dual carriageway to be built from Nairobi went to Thika Road. Then the first superhighway again went to Thika Road.
One would assume for
then
Thika
the first long distance dual carriageway also went to Thika Road up to Nyeri. Is it coincidence?
No, let me say this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Probably I'm coming from a naive perspective.
Yes.
Probably. I went to school and we were taught in GHC. I went to school during GHC.
Yes.
That Thika is the most industrial town in Kenya. Right? So you would assume that having a dual carriageway like Thika Road was primarily to ease transport and facilitate trade and industrialization.
By the way, by the time Thika Road was being made dual, the traffic on Nairobi, Naivasha, Nakuru was still higher. The traffic on Mombasa, Machakos, Nairobi was still higher. These roads that we build them because of the amount of traffic on them. But deep inside us, we build them so that we open the lands in those places for development.
You are a policy analyst. Hata ni vizuri umekuja hapo. Please, give us context. If we did not have Thika Road, but we started with the Rironi Mau Summit Road.
Yes.
In terms of impact to the economy, how does this one outweigh this one from a layman's perspective?
Let me tell you, people have always thought that institutions come where there is infrastructure and industry. No, institutions bring those. The city of Oxford was built because of the university. And people think the University of Oxford was built at Oxford City. No, it's the other way around. These roads we do, they are the ones who bring towns. Towns don't bring them. What you see in Thika today is being brought about because of that road. That road is not built because of Thika. Thika is built because of that road. I don't know if you are in this city, I don't know how old you are. Before Thika Road was converted into superhighway.
I remember it.
And then you run again on that road today, when now it is a superhighway. You would think Nairobi has shifted onto Thika Road. You would think so. When Northern Bypass was built, and today before Northern Bypass was built, and today when it has been built, go and see Ruaka town and see what is there. Building of roads. Actually, as we sit here, Kisumu as a city has collapsed. When I was growing up in your GHC, the largest town in Kenya was Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, followed by Nakuru that way. Today, Kisumu is number 8. It's number 8. Because Kisumu once had Kenya Brewery, is no longer there. Kisumu once had Kikomi, is no longer there. Kisumu once had Equator Bottlers, is no longer there.
We've had a conversation with Odhiambo Ramogi that comes before this conversation that we're having, and he explained that EABL collapsed because millet farmers could not get economic support from government when seasons did not favor them. And I believe that applies to Kikomi should be cotton.
Wait a minute. Which millet farmers are here around Nairobi to provide Kenya breweries?
No, in Kisumu. I'm saying
why Kisumu need millet around there and Kenya breweries here doesn't need millet around here? Kuna millet in millet farms in Ruai. What I am trying to tell you, that raw material called millet can even be imported if.
But
and I need to remind you also,
yes.
Kisumu has a branch of the University of Nairobi that the British Council gave us, their British Council library. The only thing they told us Kenyans, do not demolish that library. Let it be a monument. Do you know what was done? The University of Nairobi Kisumu campus was built on top of that library. The library is under the building. And when you go to the top floors, you are actually on top of the library down. It was not demolished. But do you know, as we sit here, there are no students in that university. There were no admissions. It is, you want to start thinking, is it deliberate that somebody wants this city to collapse?
And you say corruption is not the problem.
Corruption of what?
You said this thread starts from tribalism is our biggest problem.
It is the biggest problem.
It is not corruption.
It is not corruption. In fact, corruption is more, let me tell you, corruption is something you cannot fight and finish because corruption is not really too much of an organized crime. It is an individual crime. It's really, rarely do you find people, we are 10 people, we are going to be corrupt. It's rare, it happens though. Because even a single corruption case can involve several people. Even this, I had my future president, Kalonzo Musyoka, if he will be, saying that, how can we become Singapore when corruption is still this much? You would think he was born yesterday, he has not been here with that corruption over the years. The only thing that will end corruption is development. 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 But the worst ingredient for corruption, the worst, is the gap between the rich and the poor. Partly it favors the rich to become more corrupt, with the poor too poor to even notice or challenge. Because when you are poor, I will steal your own money, give you 200 bob, and you will be the one protecting me. You know, when I was young, my villagers used to go hunting, right? And they go and kill a large animal with dogs, 6 dogs. And when they are coming home, the dogs are no longer carrying the kill. It is the man. And the dogs are protecting him from anybody. He goes home, slaughters the kill properly, nicely cooks, invites even neighbors who need to go for the hunt. They eat and feast. The dogs are just waiting out there patiently. At the end of it, they collect bones from the table, put them in a sufuria, add some clear water, boil it again, and throw in some ugalis and feed the dogs. The very killers of this slaughter. That is where we have been reduced to. When you are very poor, those dogs, dogs eat once a day. They ate last evening, they went hunting in the morning, they came back in the evening with the kill, they wait for everybody to eat, then you give them water and bones and soup. And they enjoy, they even eat fighting. And then you leave them out, you go to sleep. They protect you with all of their energy because they don't know anything better than you. You have denied them the opportunity to know they could have as well left your home, go to the wilderness, kill and eat it from there and come back full.
How do we get our society to stop living like the dogs?
By conversations like this. By conversations like this.
Is our problem
we are living
education?
At the mercy of the elite. And let nobody cheat you that you first finish corruption before you become a Singapore. Becoming a Singapore, simply from my perspective, is just becoming developed the way Singapore is developed. Why Singapore is used is because Singapore was once like Kenya, developed in a short time. We would have as well said we become UK, we become America, we become Sweden. But we choose Singapore because it is the country we know. The country we know used to be like us, woke up one day and developed very quickly.
But the Prime Minister of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew, who I believe did the world justice to document his account of how they changed Singapore, writes very well that the first deliberate effort they did was closing the loopholes on corruption, and that is very simple. Crime has to be punished, and that went a long way. The fruits, I think 5 years, in terms of crediting 5 years to progress to tribalism, ending tribalism, would be ambitious from my end, because I traced Singapore's story. It starts in 1959, they win in 1960-61, I believe, but then the fruits of the efforts they made in terms of economic policies and closing the loopholes on corruptions start showing properly in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and 1998 they get an award. Not an award necessarily, they get recognized as the top 10 least corrupt countries in the world.
Singapore.
Singapore, yes. So for me, we cannot ignore the role of corruption in this, because in Kenya, people have been desensitized from money getting lost. And this is resources taken from people, right? When people hear 4 billion has been lost, it's people who have taken that money. No one's ever brought to book. So what stops other people from stealing?
But to suggest that ending corruption is the ingredient we need to become Singapore is politics. Is politics. Let's just say we board the planes to Singapore as we fight corruption at the door of this plane. But to tell us, let's first deal with corruption, then we go to Singapore, you will not go there. You will never get it. Tell me which country has refused to embrace development and corruption has ended.
Would you choose? Let me give you another hypothesis to help us settle this.
Yes.
If we had a system where every tribe had their turn to run government from president to the last person, but it is on merit and every principle is followed, right? In terms of the president knows what they're supposed to do, the deputy president comes from the same tribe, they know what they're supposed to do, the cabinet, same tribe, but it's everyone on merit, right? But then we have a situation where we have diversity, everyone is represented, but everyone does what they want. Which one would get results?
None of them. I wouldn't go for any of them. Let me tell you, when we started this conversation, there is something we talked about called jealousy. In your house, one day I was talking to the Luo on a vernacular radio, and I told them, you people don't tell me, after the, I think, 2017 general election, they were saying, now we want our own country called Republic of Nyanza or something. You remember such a talk? Yeah. And I told them, we Africans by our nature, and sometimes even the whites, we are always very divisive. You go to Rwanda and Burundi. They speak one language called Kenya-Rwanda. But there's a clan called Hutu and another clan called Tutsi, and they only differ in some physique. They fought. And I'm sure if there were more than 5 tribes in Rwanda, they would have not fought like that. That rivalry was worse because there were only 2 communities. And they were not even 2 communities, they were 2 clans, they speak one language. So to come and tell us because we are Luos, we are being persecuted by these other people, so we should go on our own. The moment you have the Republic of Luoland, there will be Siaya and Kisumu versus Homa Bay and Migori. Because Homa Bay and Migori is South Nyanza, this is North Nyanza. They will fight until they say again, let's split it. Then you have Homa Bay on its own.
Yes.
Then you will find Rachuonyo is fighting Suba, and they were, until it reaches the house, where you find sons of one mother, if your father is polygamous, is fighting the sons of another.
True.
And if your father had one wife only, you know in Luoland, the odd numbers built on the right, the even numbers built on the left. Sons who build on the right will be fighting sons built on the left. That is how it is. Somali here is one tribe speaking one language, and they tore themselves into pieces inter-clan. That's how it is.
I'm glad
and you even told me that even though we talk about Luos versus other communities, the war within the Luoland in itself is even worse.
Yes. True.
It is only overshadowed by this outside.
And it's good that you say that you actually mentioned Africa being divisive. One of my favorite philosophers and economists, actually Thomas Sowell, breaks it down in a very interesting concept. He says that Africa has 2/3, I believe 2/3 of all the languages in the world, and that's a measure of how divided Africa is. And like that many languages is a big sign of division and segmentation.
And I think you people, the Luo, have the trophy for that division. Do you know, if you look at where we came from, until we are here where we are, but that is not the most important. The most important is the reason. If you read as the mythical reasons why one clan, Onyango's clan, has separated with Otieno's clan, and one is going west, one is going east, is because they fought over some ornament, some cattle walked onto somebody's farm, small mundane things. Actually, the Luo migration ended when the Europeans came. You know the reason? Because they now presented a bigger enemy. That bigger enemy created cohesion into Luoland, created unity. Just like these people normally like pitting the Luo against the government of the day, so that within Luoland, they are cohesive and they are united with their current leader. If the Europeans don't come, maybe we would have split now. We would now be in South Africa, some of us.
Europeans stopped us from moving the way we were supposed to.
So yeah, of course, they also created ownership of land.
But then, and they actually came, the coming of the Europeans took advantage of that division. So first of all, this idea of the hope that, say, the people from one community hopes that getting to the presidency will solve their problems is a fallacy. Or is it our turn?
It is not only even the way our people support political parties and presidential candidates. It's like the same way they support Arsenal and Man U and such teams. They really don't have much to expect from it.
Yeah,
this man from around the lake has supported Raila Odinga for 30 plus years without tangible economic returns carryable on the hand, or prospective. That you say, if you are in power, this is what you would get. Because if you want to know what you would get when I'm in power, see what you get when I have the little I have. See what you get when I start to cooperate with those who are in power and I'm given a small piece called a poda, imepodewa kidogo. But if even that one you don't see, let me tell you, I told you the ODM political party generates almost $1 billion in a year. Political parties funding, contributions, such ones. But If their greatest voter, the great Rachuonyo, is swept by floods, you do not see that political party say, our voters have had a calamity, the political party has donated 10 million to buy blankets and shelter. Never.
What of the person who would argue that by virtue of the fact that, if we go with your earlier hypothesis, that by virtue of the fact that Central Kenya has head presidents, if we go with your idea, is why they have the bypasses. If we subscribe to that submission, it's why they have the bypasses. So let's hope we get our person in there so that we can also get that. Isn't that the hope then people cling on? Not individual benefits necessarily.
But that hope, you see, human beings must be able to learn people, learn leaders. That this leader, if he gets power, opportunity, and we would get this. But you know, human beings are also very interesting. When you walk home with a girl you intend to marry, your father will look at that girl and say, But politicians, they can't judge like that. Despite living with them, seeing the bad and the good things they do, they still can't sit and say, we can't elect such a person. They are unable to. But right in their home, where they work with honesty and love for you, their child, and love for their home, they can watch your spouse walk in and come and greet them and say, "Huyu tabia yake."
And their judgment would be accurate.
Accurate. But politicians, they can't accurately judge them. A politician would even murder a village boy, and they all know, and the world know, like happened in Kasipul, and they still elect him. How? That is why Socrates hated democracy, because democracy is where you get an illiterate boy who could not add 1 + 6 is 7, is coming to decide for you who is going to manage the 3.6 trillion Kenyan money. His only way to decide that is because he's our tribesman. His only way to decide that is because he wears nice suits. His only way to decide that is because he knows how to sing in public rallies and speak.
Rigathi Gachagua has been kicked out of the deputy president position. His narrative now, when he goes to the ground, is our people are being vilified. Our people are being victimized. Because he's a representation of the people.
He wants to make himself.
He may have been innocent. He may have been guilty of the things he's been accused of. All right? But that does not matter. Would we say, with your example of a politician murders a village boy, and there's been a lot of that talk being thrown around. In fact, one of the people who's been accused of the biggest atrocities is the current president. But then again, when you listen to something a politician has been accused of, and Rigiji, in terms of selling hate, has done that towards the president a lot, and I feel like Kenyans are getting desensitized against, what's the worst you can do? What's the worst you can say, right? People would assume that you have no authority to pass judgment. In fact, when you see the reaction from people, they always say, whatever you are saying, do you have evidence, right? And right on that alone, yes, there may be a rumor that a politician has done A, B, C, D, all right? A rumor. Where is the separation between the politician who suffers from this, the Odede story? Odede has been accused of killing, right? And judgment has been passed on him, and he turns out innocent. But the person who allegedly killed the person gets rewarded. Isn't that so much confusion for the average mind to decipher?
Yes, I told you that the hoi polloi in the streets out there, sometimes me and you included, are very lazy thinkers. When you tell them something that sounds logical, they believe it without interview, without investigations, without even a second thought. Let me tell you a beautiful story. How society behaves. There was a man called Ojwang. What was his other name?
Albert Ojwang.
Albert Ojwang.
Yes.
From the county of Homa Bay, the constituency of Rachuonyo. The public were convinced that he was murdered by the police in the police cell under the instigation of the DIG, isn't it? Nobody wanted to even review how Rigathi Gachagua has been talking about that DIG even before that day. Nobody wants to take a thought and say, if the DIG at his position wanted to kill Ojwang, would he go to his home with 6 policemen in official car, introduce themselves, tell his father and their names, then pick Ojwang, again take him to the nearest police station, again enter it on the OB, introduce themselves, again bring him to Nairobi, enter it into the OB again, and put him in the cells, and then kill it and come and give a stupid lie like the one I had? Do you think that would be done?
But
don't you think the story is slightly different from that?
But the police, as for the lie, I may not know other facts, but according to the official police report at first, it was said that he hit his head on the wall.
See, that's the lie I'm calling
and
stupid.
And that later changed, right?
That's the lie I'm calling stupid. Let me tell you something. Whatever whether you believe it or not, in the police cells today,
yes,
if you have a very powerful enemy here in Nairobi, he will have you arrested, taken to Kamkunji. He will have a sodomizer sent into that cell, sodomize you, leave before morning, even when the OCS, forget about the Nairobi area police chief, does not know. It happened in Mombasa also by some blogger. This city, there was a story told by the Trans Nzoia governor, Natambea.
I remember that story.
Of an MP who was to be done like that in the police station.
So
what I am trying to tell you, these police stations in and around Nairobi were already captured by cartels. And we can take you to the police station, have you killed, and the OCS learns about it the following day. But there is also something that has been happening in police systems. They are wired and conditioned to defend one of their own or themselves, whether they have done a mistake or not. They are wired like that. And that is not only the police. Even hawa watu wa pikipiki ukiwaona kwa barabara, even if a motorcyclist decides to run on your way and you hit him, they will still come and defend one of their own.
And burn your car.
People are wired like that. Even dogs, everybody, they are wired like that. So that lie you saw there was unprepared for attempt to cover what the policemen believed it was done by one of their own, when it may have not been. There are 2 very dangerous people in the police cells. There is the sentry officer, the one who carries the key to the cell, and the duty officer. Because when it goes late in the night, only the duty officer remains around, and that man with the key, because he will have to open the cell if somebody is coming in or going out, and the duty officer to handle the duty. So if you capture these people and induce them well, they can introduce Dr. Kingori into that cell, introduce Jonte into that cell, give Jonte instruction to discipline Dr. Kingori kidogo, and tutamtoa. Right? Sometimes the sentry officer is also given some little inducement and told, we tunataka Jonte afundishe huyu adabu kidogo, tutamtoa. But Jonte has been given instruction to ensure you don't leave that place alive. So when the sentry officer finally comes to the door, he says, Jonte, toka. Anatolewa anaenda. But he has not even known that Jonte has killed you in there. Those stories I'm telling you happen in Kenyan police stations from independence. And so you who is out here, you are just like me, a very lazy thinker on public issues.
Isn't it in the best interest of the government to clear the air on a matter like Albert Ojwang, if at all, let's assume we can go with a hypothesis of...
I'm not even sure the government knows what I know. I'm not sure.
Let's assume.
But I'm just teaching you so that when you approach those things in future, you approach them with a very open mind.
If the government had fodder on someone like Rigathi Gachagua, do you think they would hesitate?
To do what?
To deal with him. Because I believe he's a thorn in the flesh.
Let me tell you, you can know I killed him, but if you don't have evidence, you almost choose to keep quiet.
The Kenyan police, if they decide to investigate, they do not waste time and they are very capable.
Because the investigation levels are so deep that you may not understand. But them, they may understand, hii hata tukijaribu aje, we won't get the story. Or there's a certain level of investigations that touches some members of their system that probably they don't want to touch, so they leave it at that. But there's also this girl who was shot in their house. You remember? There's a girl who was shot in Kiambu during the riots. The bullet came and shot her in the house. Do you know how far was that house from where the riots were taking place? Kilometer ha. There's no gun in Kenya which can go that far. So this is Kenya. And I want you to go back and listen to the speech of the mother during the burial. Then you will know the mother did not even attempt to blame the police or the government. The mother squarely blamed the opposition who was seated there. Even told them, I hope you will not do such a thing again for political reasons. And the mother also told them, didn't you have a way of stopping this from happening? I want you to go and listen to that. You'll find it online. Kenyans, once we have decided that King'ori is bad and we have muzzled the media and public speakers and induced them nicely, we can make them paint a very innocent person a devil and have them sacrificed by Kenyans. It happens. So approach these things very carefully.
Whoever
the person who
controls-
has money, a lot of it, good money, can turn you into a devil overnight by rhetoric only.
Whoever controls the narrative controls the people.
Exactly. Politics, propaganda controls the media, and the media controls you. My brother. You see, there was this boy who was a policeman who was transferred to Todonyang after his utterances. You remember him? If that boy was killed, nobody would want to investigate who has killed him. It would be the government. Don't you think so?
There's a musician, Samido, who allegedly was given a transfer because he sang, allegedly. He said one term in his, and he's a police officer and he's a musician. So word was that he had been transferred to those hardship areas. And I believe he made a post, if I'm not wrong, a post to the effect that that was a strategy to have him killed and then blame it on the bandits.
No. This one was not Samido. I've forgotten his name. But he was a very young man. He appeared a few times wearing jungle uniform. He was appeared, and when he came back, he really insulted the internal security minister and everybody else.
I remember. They even started a movement. Yeah,
Yes,
I think I
yes.
remember.
You remember him?
Yes.
Now, if that man was killed, nobody was going to listen to anyone. It would be the government. Until I suspect, the government was now trying to protect him. Because why would they not blame anybody except the government? Because the public are lazy thinkers. They look for any small logic. And in political assassination and murders, the person who assassinates or murders is the person who stands to benefit most. But when you look at such a death, there is nothing the government would benefit from it. But the public, being who they are, would blame the government.
Let's go with that thread. Kidogo.
Apple.
This guy goes to Todonyang, assuming, and this is just hypothetical. He goes to Todonyang. So there is someone watching who knows that the wave against the government is hit now. They assume that this is a marked person. A third party would kill that person.
Yes.
So that the hate for the government goes higher.
Exactly.
And the government may not even defend itself.
It may not have a way of doing it because There are many murders in this country that we are unable to even tell who did it.
Is that why we are told that if someone threatens your life, you are not supposed to announce it publicly?
It is very dangerous because a third party will come and murder you.
Aye.
Let's take, for example, there was a time the opposition here was very hot. There was Maraga, there was Matiang'i, there was Kalonzo, and I don't know who else. And those people all want to unseat Ruto. If it looked probable that they are capable of unseating Ruto, then the biggest fight among them now does not become Ruto. It becomes one of them. And you know, if anybody killed one of them then,
You can't know
you
who.
can't, you'll tell it is the government. Today, if Matiang'i dies, it will be the government. Today, if Kalonzo dies, it will be the government. And the people would not say, why would you kill Kalonzo when Kalonzo goes, Matiang'i still remains? And why would you kill Matiang'i when you know it would actually worsen the situation for the government? Because in politics, the murderer is the person who stands to benefit the most. But the public are lazy thinkers.
But is this to say that we admit that the government has no capacity to solve it there and then satisfactorily?
Which government in the world has a capacity to solve every murder? None.
A high-stakes one, like in that case?
None. If John F. Kennedy, they never even solved it. If J.M. Kariuki, they never even solved it. Not even Tom Mboya. It's not very easy to solve. These murders are not easy to solve because planned murders, people plan meticulously. They planned because they even use experts who know how investigations are done.
And how people will think.
And how people will think. And for political reasons, for them, they want just the political mileage. And once they achieve it, they don't care what happens.
That's the kind of heart you need to, that's the kind of heart they build. It's about results, not the casualties or collateral damage.
So there was the Kabila death in Congo. Do you remember it?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Kabila was shot
by someone very close to him.
Then these other people also shot the killer. You know, the story ends there. If you are my bodyguard and I am shot, then you shoot my shooter. Then the story ends there. Because we can't take you anywhere because you've done what you are employed to do. But sometimes it may turn out that the conspirators had conspired with you also and tell you, Njagi will shoot Owidi. But immediately shoots Owidi, shoot him. But Njagi does not know you will shoot him. He even thinks you are a co-conspirator and so will be very safe with you. Yes. And the story ends there. That is why in the old days, it was very beautiful that criminals were shot by policemen in fire exchanges. Because it cuts a long story very short. Some of those criminals were given those guns by the very policemen hunting them. So when these policemen hunting them have been infiltrated by other policemen who do not know the conspiracy, they end up quickly eliminating this person before they go to give evidence elsewhere.
The chain has to end. So, as we conclude, we have to accept that we are a rotten society by default.
Very. And actually, what I normally say, Kenya belongs to all of us. And we must find a way of sharing its resources equally and equitably, all of us, so that we live in peace. Because there are many questions that if Kenyans started asking these questions with the vigor, they are questioning President William Ruto today. They started with Kenyatta 1, Moi, Kibaki, Kenyatta 2. We would be very far. For example, Kenyans refuse to ask the question why the new standard gauge railway wasn't built on top of the old meter gauge railway. Why did that happen? And the very reason why the old standard railway was given a very large reserve is because of the anticipation that one day it will be modernized. And I saw people like, let me not say like you, because you are not among them. Taking pen and paper and calculating, oh, the Tanzania railway was built at this amount per kilometer. How come the Kenyan one is being built? They don't know that majority of that money was used to compensate landowners. And there's one single landowner where half the railway stations are built in his land, and he was compensated. And the lands are in urban areas, and the compensation was on the rooftop.
My friend Mokai and I have done that math. Yeah, we did it, but from the place of the economic impact of the standard gauge railway, the kind of loans we are given. And I believe there's an engineer, I tried to trace that comment because I wanted to respond to it. An engineer broke it down for us because Jimmy Wanjigi had come to our show and told us that half the amount of money that was used to build the SGR would have been enough to build the SGR from Mombasa to Malaba and build an expressway like this one from Mombasa to Malaba again, and that would be massive economic impact. But there's an engineer who came and did the math for us, and it was different. In fact, we need to correct that mathematics because I also felt like we fell into a trap of regurgitating stories that have been told without verifying.
There is a way also in which we go to things without having 100% of the facts. It's like you have been given an algebra question with missing letters, and you have many, many letters missing, and you still want to get the answer. You can't get it correctly. You need to have all the details.
Yes,
when I was chairman of Lake Basin Development Authority, I had requested the Chinese, on personal basis, to give me the cost of doing the SGR from Mombasa to Kisumu, that bit left. Of course, they took me seriously because they did not know that chairman of state corporations in Kenya are non-executive. They thought, this is potential. This is supposed to go to the lake. Do you know how much he gave me to do the bit from Naivasha to Kisumu? 90 billion plus stations built.
From Naivasha to Kisumu? That's almost half the distance. Naivasha to Kisumu, that's
Naivasha to Kisumu is probably a half of Mombasa to Naivasha.
So if it was to be done, it would be half the price accurately because it's around 320, 360 billion, thereabout the figures. These 90 kilometers, if we do it double, it means from Mombasa to Malaba, it would be 180 billion.
Yes. And
so Jimmy was correct then?
They were very smart people. I'm telling you, most of this money that was used for this SGR went to land compensation. And if that amount using to build it was exclusive of land compensation, then I think we need to slap ourselves. I once confronted the then finance minister just before that happened. He was called, I think it was Kimunya, he was on KTN, and I told him, if we have built the railway from Mombasa up to Nairobi, then Naivasha, at 500 billion, I think that we were working with it, I think 370 billion.
Yes.
And it is known that the revenue from it per year is 1 billion. When are we going to break even?
That's
370 years.
Yes.
Hypothetical.
Yes.
And remember, the kind of railway we have today is almost obsolete even before its construction completed. Because it's a diesel engine, isn't it?
Yes.
And people all over the world are doing electric.
Yes.
So it means in another 20 years or less, it will be absolutely obsolete like the old one we are running away from.
And we've not even paid it up.
And we have not even paid it up.
So it means, first of all, if the present the old railway line was there and the SGR was built either on top of it or in the reserve.
If we were doing the SGR, we would not need the old one. Because even where we have built the one in Mombasa to Nairobi, they are no longer They are no longer meter gauge rail trades coming from Mombasa. They are no longer. Because why would they use them when the new one is there?
That was our deal.
So, who is going to own the old railway land that the railway runs on from Mombasa up to Naivasha?
And sasa now in my I consider myself a student of economics, right? Such mistakes are made because when it comes to public resources, there is no personal accountability for the people who make the mistakes that cost people that much in terms of time, lives, and standard of living. You know, if it was a private company where this tied to profits, the results would be different.
Do you know, Kenya is the country where there was an error running in billions on the national budget. Do you remember that
when
time?
Uhuru Kenyatta was finance minister?
What you do with that information is yours.
So should we conclude the conversation at this point and say, may God help us?
I'm good. But I'm a phone call away if you need me. Even if you pass by my place, I also have a full studio.
Asante.
You may pass, you know my friend Jagero.
Yeah,
if he passes my studio, you would not say, Owidi, you come and take the... You will just sit there and we go on.
And we record.
And we record.
That's an open invite. We also have an open invite from Honorable Kimani Ngonjiri, Wiki, Alex, Pari, Max, Senior Counsel Meskia. Iko sawa. It's been a scary conversation, I feel, for my friend Mokaya, because I know he comes from heart, maze, to run for office, but sasa kuingia huko kwa shetani. Should I talk him out of it?
What?
Should I talk my friend out of running for office? Kama huko ni kwa shetani.
One thing you need to know about calling politics shetani. Yes. Each and every one of us here was born with an inbuilt talent. Sani yako ulisalewa nae, you just have not discovered it. Maybe he was a footballer and he forgot, or he got an opportunity to play football. He would be in Premier League. So if that was born a politician, that is where he belongs. We say, do anything that you'd rather even do for free, then you'll make money. Something that is your passion.
Okay.
I collect a lot of news data. Sometimes, if you don't mind, I can send to you clips, clean, no branding. Then you can do whatever you want with them.
Thank you. First of all, I believe this is a first of many conversations. Asante sana for making time for us. Special appeal, wa Kenya, Mungu atusaidie, but where you can, do stuff. Like, I believe this is an conversation to approach with an open mind, but this paints a picture of where our country is. Watu wa Bobasi, tafadhali msituingizie Otieno Mokaya kwa shetani. Asante sana for making time for us.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Asante sana.
Asante.